Go back to this paragraph. I want to take a second to discuss this line. These two sentences. It's explained right here why the bank does it, but I want to call your attention to something else. When you decide to get a mortgage, or indeed any big loan, maybe you don't want a mortgage, maybe you want to buy a boat. Boats are super expensive. Maybe you want to buy a boat. You've decided, I don't want to live in Abbotsford anymore. I'm going to buy a sailboat. I'm going to sail around the world, right? I don't know, whatever, right? The bank's going to offer you money. You're going to take that money and they're going to charge you interest. We all understand that, right? But the bank is going to offer you rates. And in Canada, they generally offer rates by 1, 2, or 5 years. And what they do is they say, do you want a rate for 1 year? And that means that you'll pay interest at a certain percentage for that 1 year. But after that 1 year, you're going to need to get a new rate. And it could go up or it could go down. Everybody understand? If you take 2 years, it takes 2 years. If you take 5 years, it takes 5 years. Why the choices? Well, a 5-year mortgage probably has a slightly higher interest rate. You're going to pay a little more in interest, but you're guaranteed for 5 years. If there is some economic collapse and interest rates go through the roof, you're okay until then. Everybody understand? It's a risk thing. A lot of people say, I don't want to pay a cent extra to the bank that I don't need to. But then some of those people, they get mortgages as low as 6 months. And then if something horrible happens, like people pull their heads out of their butts and realize that climate change is a real thing, and interest rates go through the roof, you'd be screwed. Everybody understand? Your grandparents, if they bought a house in Canada, paid around probably 20% interest on their mortgage. We pay like 3.5 to 5. And that's in the course of 30 years. So if you get a mortgage for 30 years, there might be a 20% shift in how much you pay back. So for me personally, I wanted security. I want to know for the next 5 years what my mortgage payment is, no matter what. So I pay a little bit more than I have to. I could maybe have a mortgage payment of, $1,300 a month. But I'm more than happy to pay $1,400 a month and know that I'll pay $1,400 a month from now until I've had my mortgage for so long, they give me a 10-year rate. I know what my mortgage payment will be till 2028, no matter what happens in the world. For me, that's what I care about because it allows me to plan. If you can handle the risk, maybe you choose differently. Everybody understand? Okay. So we talked about these. So this dude, there's his mortgage payments, right? He would be paying that times 12 times 15 is 180 months. He'd pay that 180 times. He'd pay this 12 times 25. He'd pay that 300 times. And this one is another 300 times, right? So the question becomes down here, assuming the rate remains same, how much does he pay for all of these? So 4% was right here. He'd pay 2104. Forget the cents. It's not important. 2104 times 300. If he was paying 7%, he's doing 2801 times 300. And if you do that math, you'll see it's a pretty significant difference. Like this one, it comes out to like $650,000. This one comes out to something like $850,000. Why would he ever choose that one? He wouldn't, because 7% is way higher interest, right? Right? He would choose this one. Now, remember back when we did the investment one? The guy put away $72,000 and had $450,000 when he retired? Remember that question? So 72,000 got you 450,000, so $380,000 of free money, yes? When you invest over a course of 30 years. Well, what do you think happens the other way around? They get that free money. So if he keeps it at 4%, he borrowed 400,000, right? But he paid back 650. He borrowed 4,000, but he paid back 850. That's just the way it goes, right? Nobody has $400,000 in their pocket to buy a house. You got to go to the bank, unless you're one of the super rich people in the world, right? Like, I don't know anybody that's ever bought a house flat out without going to the bank. Don't know anybody that's done it. And I got friends, for some reason, they slum it and they hang out with me and they actually have money. They still have to go to the bank. Everybody cool? All right. So here's a couple more mortgage questions. You can try them. By the way, everyone should have a calculator. I forgot to remind you. Go grab one of those calculators so we can talk about the rest of this. And we're on page 246. Remember, to make this work, you got to push apps 1 to get the finance screen up. Is it all right with everybody if I don't do that? It's such a pain. If I write all the numbers here, you can just write them down, yeah? Okay. Are we pretending this is a phone now? Are you going to crack it open and have a beer?
I'm going to then. You can definitely get that out.
Anyways. So, remember back when we first started playing around with this, we did that car loan one, and it came out that we had to make 36.89 payments or some crap like that. Do you guys remember that yesterday? It was right. It was right here. We had to make 36.7 payments. Remember that? Right? Obviously, we don't go back to the bank and make 0.7 of a payment, right? What the bank does is we make 35 regular payments and then our 36th payment plus what's left over. And this payment is what finance people call a balloon payment, because it's inflated. Everybody cool? So let's actually work through one of these right now. That one have no batteries? Oh, that's disgusting. Are there any left? That one's good. I'm going to buy some more batteries. Did I ever tell you about my brother's idiot girlfriend? She opened up one of these at some point, like something with batteries, not a calculator. It was a remote or a Rock Band guitar or something. And it was all the corroded acid on there. And yeah, she was like, what's that? Like, it's battery acid, you idiot. What did you think it was? I mean, it was a good thing she was pretty, but...
Maybe she was a stoner.
Oh, I'm pretty sure she was. Anyways, so let's talk about this question. We're borrowing a car. The bank's going to charge us. We can afford $150 payments. So fill that in and see what happens. So we're making, how many payments are we make? 3 years worth of payments we pay every month. So 12 times 3, which is going to give us 36, yeah? Then we'll fill in the rest. Interest was 10.5, which is a pretty average interest rate for this kind of loan. I know when you see on TV, buy a car, 1.9% interest, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't apply to used cars, and it's not really 1.9% interest. It's 1.9 APR. APR stands for above prime rate. There's always a minimum rate. They are adding that to that minimum rate. It is tricky. Anyways, 10.5 is a very good interest rate. What's the present value? What are we starting with? How much do we borrow? 5,700. How much are we paying? It's going out of our pocket. So is it plus or minus? Minus 150. Do we know our future value? Well, hopefully, but right now, future value, we're paying 12 times a year, and how much are we compounding? Twice. And will it be at the beginning or the end? It's going to be at the end because they want more money from us, right? So punch that in. Tell me what our future value is. No, this is not on the final. This is for real life. And it would be, what? 1,454 and some cents, yeah? What is it? Yeah, no, I know. We're going to talk about that in a minute. 0.54. Great. Why is it negative? Because that's still money we would have to pay. It would have to go out of our pocket. Does everybody understand that? So 3 years, we still haven't paid off this car. Right? You need to be very careful when taking loans. Because what if this car dies? Do you still owe the money? Yeah. So you need to be very careful about this, or you may find yourself paying for a vehicle that you no longer own. All right? So we know we still owe this, 1454.54. How many more full payments will I need to make? How many payments? I don't know. But I know it's 10.5. I know my present value is 1454.54. I know my payment is minus 150. And I want my future value to be 0. 12 to end. Tell me how many more payments I'm going to make. You 10.16. So we're happy with that. So 10 full payments and then this little extra, right? Allie?
I don't understand the end and beginning.
We don't know how many more payments we're making. Because that's the question. How many more payments do I have to make? Enter the number of payments. I don't know.
I mean the end.
Oh, the end and the beginning. Oh, I'm sorry. I heard N. Okay. If you borrow money from me, all right? You come to me and say, Mr. Myers, I need $1,000. I say, you take $1,000. I'm going to charge you interest, right? Okay. So I give you $1,000 and I'm charging you 10% interest for the whole, no, I'm going to do this better. 12% interest for the whole year, yes? So in 1 month, you are going to pay 1%, right? Understand? So you would, in 1 month, you would owe me $1,000 plus 1%, which would be $10, right? So you'd owe me $1,010. Let's say you give me right away $10. So I've lent you $1,000 to Allie. You sent $10 to Myers. How much do you owe me now? You owe me 990, right? But no, because I do my interest before this. Because I want your extra $10. As soon as I give you the money, I add the interest on. So you actually owe me 1010. That's what it means. When you are paying back a loan, they don't apply your payments until after they've applied your interest at the end. When you're saving up, they apply your interest at the beginning before you've saved up, so they don't have to give you interest on your new payment. I know. Well, that's why the worst performing bank in Canada still makes over $1 billion in profit every year. And that's the worst earning bank. I don't know. I only know what the worst earning bank is because I bank at CIBC.
I get that our government controls the banks, but I think they should also collect the money with interest from the banks and stuff. But they should own the banks. They should be the banks.
All
I
right.
don't know how much money would go back to our economy from that. I'm just saying, it's like tax.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, how many more full payments do I need to make? 10, right? But I don't want to come back and have to give them $20 after that 10th payment, do I? So I make 9 more payments plus a balloon. And that balloon payment is going to cover this 1.16. Everybody with me? Okay. So let's find out what that is. I know I'm going to make 9 payments. Agreed? 9 more payments, yes? And I know that's going to be 10.5. And I know my present value is 1454.54. And I know my payments are negative 150. What is going to come up there? I'm not filling in the rest. $173.39, right? Everyone agree? Will the bank want its interest on that? It will, won't it? Because, well, so I'm going to make 1 more payment, yes? At 10.5, right? I owe 173.39. My payment's 150. Now what's going there? That is what I owe. So my last payment is going to be my full payment of 150 plus 24.88. 174.88. Because the bank wants that dollar. Why do they want that dollar? Do you think it really matters to them, your $1? No. How many people in Canada have money owed to banks right now? Probably every single adult in Canada. So how many of us are there? 20 million maybe? And it's a couple of dollars per account. Most adults have a mortgage, a credit card, and a line of credit. And an overdraft on their bank account. So if there's 20 million of us and we all owe $1 or $2 of interest per month on 4 things, that's a crap ton of money, isn't it? Jacob. The banks pay the government taxes, yes. I don't know. I choose not to worry about that. Businesses always get away with it. That's how Amazon gets away with everything. Amazon goes to cities and says, we'll put a call center here 500 jobs, but we don't want to pay any taxes on the property or anything. And governments say, oh, sure, no problem. And then government comes to you people and says, look, we created jobs. No, you didn't. You did no such thing. You sold our future on taxes. Because now, 30 years down the road, this company is not paying a cent of taxes, and the government of that day can't get any money from them because you sold us out. Anyways, that's a civics lesson. Don't get me into that. We can practice a bit more. There's a ton more practice if you want. But I would like to go to credit cards, which are on page 256. We'll talk about that too. Credit cards are essentially a small loan that I shouldn't say that, I don't actually know. But I would say 90% of the people I know have a credit card. It might be a gas station credit card. But they have, yeah. I mean, it's only good at that gas station. You can buy gas and stuff from the convenience store with it. But it's a thing. It's basically a loan. Now, you can read all this. But I'm going to summarize it for you right now. Huh?
I just said credit cards bad.
Yeah, credit cards. No. Credit cards are bad if you don't use them right. They give you every chance to use their products wisely. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, okay? When you read all this, basically, here's what happens. You show up at the store, you want to buy a $500 suit, you don't have $500 in your bank account, you give them your credit card, they give you the suit, right? Later that month, you get a bill from your credit card company for $500. If you pay it, all is forgiven. There's no interest. All right? Allie borrows that $1,000 from me. She pays me back in 3 weeks. No interest. Any amount the credit card company that you do not pay them, they charge you interest. And that interest compounds. Here is what I mean. Let's do this. So let's assume our friend Hayden here has no money owing on his credit card. He's just gotten it. So pretend it's one of you people walking down the street at your college or university, because what is going to happen in the first 3 days you're there is you're going to be bombarded by people trying to get you to sign up for credit cards. They'll offer you free pens, they'll offer you t-shirts, and that's what you'll do. And everybody signs up for a credit card. Every single person I know at UVic in September of 1992 got a credit card, except me, because I was only 17. So I couldn't get one because you have to be 19. Yes. So every single person I know did. 5, 6 credit cards each. They all got a bunch of t-shirts, pens, books, water bottles. Great. And then they proceeded to start using their credit cards. You only get about a $500 limit that first credit card. It goes pretty fast when you're going out to the bar drinking. Put it on my card. Couple months later, put it on this other card. Couple months later, put it on this other card. Now all of a sudden they're screwed. Let's pretend that is Hayden right now. He walks down the street at the college, and they always send perfect people. They are stunningly gorgeous, and you're always like, I get a t-shirt and I got to talk to you? Okay. So Hayden's gotten himself a credit card, and he goes out and he feels he needs the new PlayStation 12, and he goes and he charges $470 on his credit card. Everybody agree? Okay. So he owed nothing. Now he owes $470. Now he pays 14.4% per year. So that would be 0.144 in a year, but we get our credit card bill every month. So what do I got to divide that by? 12. Right there, where you should have put it like 20 minutes ago. So if I do that with my calculator, it's 0.012. You've already done it? Great. 0.012. So what is my balance plus interest? I do 470 times 1 to cover the 470 plus 0.012. And what do I get there? I get 475.64. Everybody cool? Everybody cool? Now, what if I had paid this off when this bill came here? Would I pay that 564? No, I'd be okay. But Hayden, being a student, is too busy playing Call of Duty 29 on his PlayStation 12 that he doesn't have a job. So he says, ha ha ha, screw you, Visa. I'm only going to pay you the minimum payment. The minimum payment is 3% or $10. Well, he owes 475.64 times 0.03. He owes $14.27. He makes that payment. Right? So he makes his $14.27 payment, and he owes now 475.64 minus 14.27, and he owes 461.37. Everybody cool? Next month comes around, he owes 461.37. The interest charge is still 0.012. So we do that. So answer 1 plus 0.012. And now, what does he owe? Now he owes 466.91, right? And we know he's not paying it off, he's paying the minimum amount, yes? So 466.91 times 0.03. His minimum amount is now, I know it just went out. Oh, okay. Okay, so $14. So we do 466.91. Oh yeah, it is 1 cent. Thank you. Thank you. Wait around, buddy. Maybe you won't fall into this trap. Minus 1401. 1401, 452.90. Now, stop for a second. How much has he paid off? About $28. Agreed? How much has his principal gone down? He owed $470. Now he owes $453. $17. He paid $28 out of his pocket, but he only made $17 in progress on paying his debt. Does everybody understand? Now, back in the day, credit card companies were more than happy to let you make the minimum payment. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what they want you to do, because then you pay forever. And they reward you by giving you a good credit rating if you make your minimum payments. So you think you're in good shape. About 5 years ago, the Canadian government realized, wait a minute, Canadians don't know anything about money, and we owe more money than we earn. So they forced credit card companies to put right on the bill if you make your minimum payment and you don't add anything more to your balance, it will take you X amount of years to pay this off. Now, if we were to actually do this math and Hayden were to stop using his credit card, this would take something like, I can't remember, I've made this spreadsheet, something like 3 years to pay off this debt if he only makes the minimum payment. And the vast majority of Canadians only make their minimum payments. Which means, will you ever get out of debt? No. Because every time you make a minimum payment, that's $10 less than you have to spend. Which means you got to go to your credit card to buy your coffee that day. Because you spent your $10 on the credit card. Everybody with me? Now, what Jacob was going to ask, and I'm going to see if I can read his mind, why couldn't you get another credit card to pay off this credit card and then go back and forth?
That's actually great. That's like, but I was gonna say you just keep going. Then you don't get the interest and you pay it off when you're ready.
But like go with the fake identity.
I was gonna ask, is there any way to get money from a credit card into some sort of personal bank account or something like that, or cash? Is there any way to do that?
To get money from a credit card to as cash?
Into a cash or a bank account?
Yeah, you can take your credit card, you go to the bank and you say, I want $500 from my credit card. Except they charge interest on it the second you do it. That you don't get any break.
So you can't do it.
No. And your plan is what millions of North Americans have been doing for years. Yes. But what does it do? You still don't get out of debt. You always owe the same amount. But no interest. Now, how do credit card companies suck you in? Rewards. It's always rewards. When I flew to Ecuador 2 years ago, no, Air Miles isn't a credit card. That's its own company. When I flew to Ecuador 2 years ago, I flew for free. Yep. All that stuff. Now, you will also notice your minimum payment barely changes, yes? At some point, it becomes a minimum. It's usually $10. Every credit card company expects $10 a month from you. And you think, hey, no problem. But if I actually make this spreadsheet and I add up all of your minimum payments till you pay this off, it's like $900. If you can't afford it with cash, don't put it on a card. That's the general rule. Well, debit is cash. That's not a credit card. Now, the credit card companies have gotten hip to us. They're wise. They're like, oh, people are starting to understand money more. And they offer you Visa and MasterCard debit cards. It's the other way around. You send them money, and then you're borrowing against your own money. Like if you give them $1,000 to give you a card that you can use everywhere that Visa is accepted, up to that $1,000, right? So if you run away with their card, they already have your $1,000. But otherwise, it acts like a credit card. Because then in our society, we do a lot of online shopping, yes? It's difficult to do online shopping, especially from the United States, with a bank card. You can do it in Canada pretty easily, but banking system in America is different. So you often need a credit card. My son has a prepaid Visa, so he can order stuff online, stuff off of PlayStation, stuff like that, because you can't do it unless you have a credit card. And I'm sick and tired of him coming upstairs, Dad, can I have $88 for PlayStation Plus? No, boy. You can earn $88. I'll put it on your prepaid card, and then you can order it yourself. PayPal is punishing fees, though. Yes, if you send money to a business, PayPal is punishing fees. Between you and me, the fees are lower, but they're still there. Now, my son played it very smart yesterday. He comes upstairs. He says, hey, Dad, guess what games I just got on PlayStation Plus? And I say, what? I don't care. I'm mad that you even have that. And he says, Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. And he knows that Uncharted 1 and 2 are two of my favorite video games ever. And he did. I know he's gotten other games, but he was smart to come up and go with those two. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah. And it was only like $80 for the year. I'm like, what? Those games are like $80 each. Then I'm downstairs playing when I should have been marking tests.
No worries, game is more important than
Oh, it's okay. My daughter helped me mark the tests.
I might have gotten some.
She only did the multiple choice, buddy. Yeah, I got my grade 8 daughter doing your trig open-ended stuff. Actually, she's pretty funny. She was looking at it and she's like, well, Dad, couldn't I solve this by doing this? And I look at it. Holy crap, you could have. I've never done it. It's not how I would have taught it. What? Sure, man. Knock yourself out. All right. So credit card stuff. 220. You can practice this a little. Whether you do or not, it's up to you. The point I am trying to make about finance, we talked about it yesterday. If you're saving, no amount is too small to save, and no time is too soon to start. If you're borrowing, borrow wisely. If you borrow from a lot of different places, then you've got to split your money up to pay them back, and you fall into this trap, right? If you have 5 credit cards, you could only make the minimum payment. But if you have 1 credit card, if you're making 5 payments of $14, that's $70. If you only had 1 credit card, you could make a $70 payment instead of 5 minimums. Everybody cool? Please go out and learn this stuff. It will not just fall into your head. You have to learn it. Ask your parents, ask a banker, ask a guy or a woman at the credit union where you keep your money. Learn this stuff. Because this stuff you're still going to need when you're 85. How to graph the reference angle? You're probably not. Okay?
At least when I was